So with the Great North Rumble coming up tomorrow, there's some really, really big names in that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you've got much chance as anybody, but you just mentioned a certain Tim Strange, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever you get a rumble situation, you've always got to look at the big guys, and they don't come any bigger than Tim Strange. So yeah.
Of course, of course. We're talking to Alexander Henry. We've got loads of stuff to talk about. NGW, tag team wrestling, coming back to wrestling. There's so much to talk about, including a question, obviously, from Rich Swift. Enough rambling on. Roll the intro. Alex, great to have you on the show, mate. We're obviously on Friday. How's the week been?
Yeah, it's been a nice week. Actually being off this week, so I've made the most of training. Trained probably twice most days this week. Diet's been dialed in, all ready for Saturday. Tomorrow, Great North Rumble. I'm entering the Rumble itself, and yeah, I fancy my chances.
Like I said, you've got as much chance as anybody and stuff like that. So, apart from obviously training, you had much chill time, or has it just been all systems go this week?
No, I've had some decent chill time. My partner's been off as well this week, so it's been nice to spend a bit of time together. We live pretty hectic lives, so it's been nice just to kind of chill out and make the most of the week together, really.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, like I said, mate, we're talking about your career in wrestling and stuff like that. So let's obviously start at the beginning, man. I mean, how did your career begin?
It started. I mean, I've been a wrestling fan for as long as I remember. As cliche as that sounds, but I've always I always used to watch it. All the way up until around maybe when I was about 20 years of age. I noticed that there was a wrestling school, training school in Carlisle, which is where I'm from, where I was born and bred. And it was under Target Wrestling, the Natras brothers. They were the ones that ran the training school. And when I heard about it, I decided to go down and try my hand. They had a full size wrestling ring, and had a decent facility there. And yeah, that's how it began, really.
No, yeah, awesome and stuff like that. Now, obviously, moving forward, you were a big part of a tag team and stuff like that. Obviously, the New Nation with Rampage Brown. I mean, that's one name I hear a lot in the UK. I mean, the guy's probably one of the best. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no. To be honest, in my opinion, I don't think they come any better than Rampage Brown. And although I started my wrestling career in Target Wrestling in Carlisle, I actually moved over to the Northeast with work, probably about 2 years into wrestling. And I was fortunate enough to come under the learning tree of Rampage Brown, his training school, which was under the NGW banner at the time. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to be trained by him on a week-to-week basis, and that's where my career kind of went from strength to strength. From there was by being guided by him, and I speak for a lot of people when I say that if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
And what's some of the things obviously Rampage taught you? Because I obviously ask a lot of people this.
Physicality, making things look legitimate. And I think when you watch him, his physicality it's second to none. And him being able to pass that on to us guys and whatnot has been invaluable. That's one of the main things that you see with him.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said it, Joe. I mean, there's just so much respect and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, great guy and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we'll obviously talk about wrestling in Newcastle and stuff like that. We've just had Grand Slam. You mentioned obviously the Great North Rumbles, obviously tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your match first with Robbie X. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. It was a great match. Like I say, I did obviously wrestling from probably 2016 up until around about 2019. I kind of fell out of love with it slightly. So me coming back to wrestling after quite a bit of a hiatus, I'm certainly still trying to find my feet again. The scene's completely changed. I wasn't around when NXT UK was doing its thing. A lot of the people that were involved in NXT UK were on the independents when I was trying to do my thing. And they went off there over to Pastures New, which and rightly so for a lot of them. So now that like I say, now that they've gone on to Pastures New, the scene has changed. I've came back into it with a lot of new faces. But yeah, to get in there with somebody like Robbie X on the level that he's on right now, was great. Was great for me because again, I'm still trying to find my confidence again. Especially with being predominantly a tag team wrestler when I was doing it. Most weekends. To get in there and to show what I can do on my own. Like I say, I am still finding my confidence and I am still finding my feet. But being in there with consummate pros like Robbie X does help that, and he's spot on, and he deserves all the success that he's getting at the moment. New member of the Bullet Club, and all the things he's doing with CMLL and all that kind of thing. It's good to see.
Of course, and then let's talk about the main event: Brady Phillips, obviously versus Shreddy. Shreddy's obviously you're good friends with. I mean, what's that like for you from the outside looking in? What happened?
Yeah, well, come on. I think Brady knows that Shreddy's got his number. Yeah, certainly. Together, me and Shreddy, yeah, we are good friends. For those that don't know, we are the lads, LADS, the large and dangerous studs. And I think Brady Phillips is he knows that Shreddy's got his number, and he knows it's just a matter of time before Shreddy gets the better of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, Shreddy's up against obviously Rampage tomorrow. We obviously Grand Slam's obviously on YouTube. Fans are going to go check that out. But I was shocked with that. I mean, I don't know obviously what you thought with what Rampage did.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that coming, to be honest. And like I said, I've said before, I owe a lot to Rampage Brown, but when it comes to doing the right thing, he hasn't done it there. So I think we'll be crossing paths, maybe tomorrow, maybe in the future. I certainly, if Rampage wants to, go down the route that he was going down on the last show, I'll be keeping a close eye on it, and I'll certainly have Shreddy's best interest at heart.
Of course you will. Of course you will. So you mentioned obviously about stepping away, obviously from wrestling and stuff like that. Was that really a difficult decision, or was something that you needed to do?
Yeah, at the time it was something that I needed to do. There was a lot going on in my personal life at the time, and although at the time wrestling it was going great. I was being used at Progress, being used at ICW, NGW. We were quite regular features on. Tidal wrestling. It was going really, really well. In a way, I think maybe at the time it was maybe too much. And I think it just probably got a bit too much for me and a bit on top of me, and I decided to kind of take a step away. and I wasn't living at home either. I'd moved over to the northeast, and I think maybe really in reality I was probably just more of a home bird type thing, and I was missing home. I was still pretty young. I just kind of up sticks my life and moved it away. So yeah, it was a tough decision, but in a way it was the right decision. I look back on it now and I think life's too short to have like regrets and things like that. If I hadn't left wrestling, then I probably wouldn't have what I have now. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll change that question obviously to 180 and stuff like that. What was the process like, obviously, to come back? I mean, was it like, let's just do this, or was it like gradually building up?
It was a kind of a let's just do this. It was the time was right to kind of come back. This was pre-COVID, and I decided to get back in touch with the guys at North Wrestling. I'm proud to say that I was one of the that I was part of the first North Wrestling show, and subsequently the ones after that. Don't get me wrong, I left and that promotion went from strength to strength. So yeah, when I reached out to them to say that I've decided that I wanted to to come back, they welcomed me back with open arms, and I'm always really grateful for that. It was almost like I hadn't left, and I was able to come back, and they found a place for me on that show, and it went from there really. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened.
Yep.
And that really put a spanner in the works on that one, really. So yeah, whilst I came back, it was pretty short lived because of the pandemic.
Wow, crazy, man. Now, obviously, how are you in yourself now? Do you know, now are you obviously good? Do you know what I mean? Mentally and stuff?
Yeah, no, absolutely great. I'm career wise outside of wrestling, I'm doing okay. Relationship wise, great as well. I've got a girlfriend that loves to go to Disney and Florida as much as I do. She's into the wrestling as well. We went to the Royal Rumble last year. We're going to WrestleMania this year. So finding someone like that, a partner like that, that's quite happy to travel the world with you and in the name of wrestling isn't easy to find. So I'm pleased that I have.
Absolutely. So one thing I would say I like about you is the dives. Let's be honest. So I'm going to show you the image from this particular show right here.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain to people about this actual dive, because it's absolute crazy, man?
Yeah. So I'd probably say that I haven't really got any fear when it comes to throwing myself off high things. That particular show was, I think it was probably like my second show back, when I decided to return, and it was part of a huge elimination match. It was myself and the New Nation teaming with Rory Coyle and Liam Slater, who I believe on that show actually was making his return as well. And we were against Hard Brexit, which was Shreddy, Benji, Zio Knox, and Connor Renshaw, and they had enlisted the help of the show stealer Nathan Cruz. So yeah, huge match, huge stakes. The winner of the match actually received the #1 contendership for the North title at the time, and so it was one of my first shows back. I had a lot to prove. I feel like there was people in the audience there that probably didn't know who I was. I'd had maybe 2-3 years out, So yeah, I feel like I had a point to prove, and I went out there to to steal the show, give a memorable moment, and what better way of doing that than throwing yourself off a 15-foot balcony onto everybody in the ring.
Yeah, I remember Benji's telling me, saying that hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Benji took quite a lot of it. He didn't take all of it, but I think I think he got my. I remember him telling me that he got my palm right in his face. So you can imagine, and I was a lot bigger than what I am now. I was probably pushing about 18 stone. So when you're coming down 18 stone from 15 feet in the air, and you get a palm right in the face, then yeah, I can imagine that it didn't tickle. But it couldn't have happened to a nicer person. So
If fans going to watch that actual clip, there's obviously a link in the description of this video. Go check it out. It's on Benji's Instagram, and it's just absolute crazy. It's one of those where I'm like, holy shit.
oh yeah.
Oh dear. So that kind of leads me obviously to the next question, because I had Rich Swift on obviously on Wednesday, and obviously
Yep.
I gave him a thing saying, "Have you got a question for yourself?" So got the clip, and you get to answer it. So of course on Friday we've also got Alexander Henry on the show. So to end this obviously interview, have you got a question you want me to put from you?
So Alex does an incredible moonsault. So I guess it'd be, are there any other high flying, high risk, high defining moments that he can think of that he's done, or that he wants to add for the future?
Okay, I'll put. There you go.
I don't know. Watch this space. There's I don't think there's anything that I believe that I can't do. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And like I say, when the time is right, we'll pull something out of the bag. I must admit, I'm really eager to make my return to North Wrestling, and I know that they do their shows. They don't do their shows in the old venue that of the balcony that I dived off. They do their shows in the brewery now. I've seen some pretty high brewery tankers in there, so that's got me thinking. Maybe we can scale one of those potentially.
Never say never, right? So when you look back, obviously with everything you've done in your career, what's some of your actual highlights where you can go, I'm proud of those?
I think wrestling for progress was a huge highlight, especially down at the Electric Ballroom in London. When we got the call for that, that was special, because Progress at the time back then they were pretty much selling out those shows, every time they were on. I think they were selling out in almost like 30 minutes, most of the time. And the kind of people that were on those shows, your Will Ospreays, Adam Cole was on a show once that we were on. Your Zack Sabre Juniors, the who's who of British wrestling at the time. And you look at what they've obviously gone on to do, to be on those shows with those kind of people, was a huge highlight. We actually wrestled the Hunter brothers on that show, and I think probably to this day it was probably one of the best matches that we'd had. The Hunter brothers are amazing, absolutely amazing. Great tag team. And yeah, it was a superb experience. So yeah, I would probably say that's probably the highlight.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Sorry about that. My microphone went off.
There we go.
Yeah.
At
So
least that wasn't me.
yeah, it's normally like the guest, but never mind. So yeah, what's one of the biggest things that wrestling's taught you? It could be in the ring, could be outside the ring.
I guess I like the camaraderie. I think when it comes to wrestling, I always say that it's a very niche interest, to say the least. And when you go on these shows with all these people, and obviously with the people that come to watch you as well, and the fans and whatnot, we all share something in common, and that's that's a love of wrestling. So yeah, it's taught me that that there's the camaraderie aspect of it, the fact that we all plug together to produce something for people to enjoy, for people to pay to come and see. I think that's something special. I think we live in a world now where I think we live in a selfish world, realistically. But wrestling is that one thing that for however long, a couple of hours or so, you truly come together to produce something special. It doesn't matter how big, how small it is. It might be a show in a social club. It might be a show in an arena. But at the end of the day, you're all there to do a job and produce something special. Whether that's for young kids in the audience all the way up to adults.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, how would you say wrestling's evolved then throughout the years?
I don't know. I think it's. I think there's different styles of wrestling now. There's so much for people to enjoy, and I think there's the array of availability when it comes to wrestling nowadays. All the different styles. You used to just have one thing. Back when I was watching wrestling, it was you had WWE, or you had WF at the time, or you had WCW. I was a WWF guy at the time, and I thought that was all that was out there. But now you've just got such a range of different wrestling. I think AEW put out a different product than what WWE do, and I think that's good. I think it's healthy, and I think it's nice. It's nice to see, and I think that's how wrestling has like kind of evolved over the time. It's constantly evolving. It's people are pulling out new things all the time, and I think that's what you have to do. You have to evolve with wrestling, because if you don't, then you just get left behind.
Yeah, 100%. Would you say social media is obviously a big part of wrestling as well these days?
Well, there you go. It's massive. I think social media and kind of like the internet wrestling community, if you like. There's pros and cons. For me, when I'm watching wrestling, I love that element of surprise. I think social media has kind of got a lot to answer for when it comes to that nowadays, because a lot of things get leaked nowadays, and I think it's so hard to keep that mystique, if you like. But at the same time, I get it why companies nowadays will announce things ahead of time, because of that reach on social media. You see the kind of reach and the numbers that WWE is doing at the moment, and it's absolutely insane. So yeah, I get it, but I think at the same time, it's got a lot to answer for. I would like it to kind of sort of take a back seat, but I know it's not going to happen.
No, of course not. So it kind of leads me obviously into my next question, which is, being obviously a wrestler and stuff like that, do you get the chance to watch wrestling from like a fan's point of view?
I do, and I always will. I'm a fan first and foremost, of anything. I think ultimately, there's a reason why I got into it, and the reason being that I was a fan first and foremost. I mentioned before there that I'll be going over to Las Vegas this year to watch WrestleMania, because ultimately I'm a fan and that's what I like to go and see. I don't look at myself as a wrestler and think that I'm beyond that. I'm quite happy to pay my hard-earned money to go and see it, and because I enjoy it, and that's it.
Yeah, what do you reckon to Mania being like 2 nights? Because I know some people don't actually like that.
I quite like it. I think looking at it from a wrestler's perspective, I think it gives them a more chance to get on. 2 nights. You've got 2 4-hour shows there, and I think, yeah, from a wrestler's perspective, and especially those guys where WrestleMania is the pinnacle, for some of them for their calendar year. I think it's important that that everybody does get a chance. And yeah, so having it 2 nights, and I know obviously that SummerSlam's looking at going 2 nights. To me, it's good, and it's just more wrestling for the fans to watch at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So, what would you say the biggest misconception is when it comes to wrestling?
Biggest misconception? Wow. I mean, from the outside looking, I think people that don't understand wrestling, and then they look at it as that, it's that fake wrestling, or it's that rigged wrestling. I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions. The fact that it is predetermined, but the fact that it still takes a lot, and it still hurts. People that maybe aren't wrestling fans, maybe that people that I work with or something like that will be like, why are you why do you want to lose, or sometimes why do you not feel comfortable losing? But it's more, if I explain to them that it's more of you're telling a story, or if I always say that, look, if you're going to the cinema, that the bad guy is going to lose, but the guy that plays that bad guy still, he's just doing his job at the end of the day. And sometimes when you explain it in layman's terms like that, they kind of understand. But yeah, no, I think the biggest misconception is that it's predetermined, so therefore anybody can do it. But no, it's not like that.
No, I mean, let's be honest though. I mean, injuries do happen. Do you know what I mean? Wrestling, regardless. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, touch wood. I've been pretty fortunate not to have any kind of serious injuries, as such. In my first match, I broke my ankle.
Ouch.
So that wasn't a very good start. But I was involved in the finish of the match, so I just had to carry on. So I hit the package pile driver with a broken ankle. So that was fun.
And how long did that actually take to recover?
It would have been it was a couple of months or so, I think. It was a couple of months where I was on the shelf. I had to act as a manager on the outside for a couple of months, but once we'd healed, luckily it was a clean break. We were able to get back in there. You think it would put people off, but it didn't put me off.
A few little more questions, obviously, as we begin to wind down and stuff like that. So you're back in wrestling, like you mentioned, and stuff like that. Is there any people you'd like to get in the ring with?
Oh, I mean, I'm grateful for any opportunity that I get. Especially now. But there's so many good people out on the scene now. I would love to get in there with Nathan Cruz. Like me, Nathan owes a lot to Rampage Brown. He said that many a times. he's been under Rampage Brown's learning tree. So yeah, and I could learn so much off Nathan as well. You know, he's a consummate professional himself. He calls himself the professional. And it's true. So yeah, to get in there with him would be great. I have wrestled him before in a tag team, but to get in there one-on-one would be spot on. There's loads of people. Shame on Air. He's another one I would like to get in there with. Since he came back to wrestling, especially being involved at Target, he's been a regular there. He's obviously a regular at ICW, TNT, those kind of places. Yeah, so get in there with him would be good. Yeah, off the top of my head, that's who I can think of.
What about promotion wise? Obviously, you mentioned you want to go back to obviously North, but is there any other promotion you'd like to get to?
Yeah, absolutely. North, obviously being like part of the foundations of that kind of coming up, being a part of the first couple of shows, getting back on there would be super. I know that the competition to get on those shows nowadays is very high, but yeah, to get on there would be fantastic. To get back on ICW would be great as well. You know, I wrestled for them a few times. I was actually in the Square Go, which I know is coming up soon. So you never know. Yeah, ICW, NGW again would be great. You know, I've got a lot of time for the guys there. But yeah, anywhere that'll have me, I'll certainly consider it.
Yeah. And what about goals in general? Is any obviously goals for the rest of the year for you personally?
Other than just enjoy what I do, you know, that for me, that's what I'm looking at now. I'm not, you know, I'm not looking for contracts or any of that kind of thing. I'll be straight up and honest about that. I just want to enjoy wrestling, and I am enjoying wrestling. You know, I'm thankful to places like Target Wrestling that have given me and Wrestling in Newcastle that have given me a chance. You know, to come back and and do my thing. I'm the reigning Target heavyweight champion at the moment. You know, so I'm thankful to them for trusting me, you know, to be at the forefront of their promotion. So yeah, no, that's kind of where I'm at. I just want to enjoy it, and just continue to enjoy it, because I think when you stop enjoying something, that's when it becomes a chore.
I love that. That's absolutely great. And you know what? You're not the first person to say enjoy it. Every single person I've interviewed have said enjoy it, and I feel like that's one of the biggest things when it comes to wrestling. Just enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. That's why we do it. And when, like I say, when things stop becoming fun, you need to take a step back a little bit and think, you know, why am I doing this sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So one final thing, obviously, we mentioned that the Royal Rumble's coming up tomorrow. You're a part of that. How are you actually preparing for this? Are we just getting psyched up, or are we just thinking, let's just go for it?
Bit of both, I suppose. I'm pretty confident that, again, that I'm one of the biggest guys in there. It'll take a lot to get me over the top rope, I assure you. But yeah, I'll be going in there all guns blazing, and I'll be going for the win.
There you go. That's a great thing to end on. Alex, before we all set off, mate, is there anything you'd like to plug?
No, you can. If for those of you that want to follow me, I'm only really active on Instagram. My handle is the class apart. But yeah, if you want to reach out to me on there and whatnot, then you can do. That would be great.
There you go. Like I said, Wrestling in Newcastle, all shows are on YouTube. Go check them out. Alex is obviously a big part of that. And I just hope that Shreddy gets some like payback for Rampage's actions at Grand Slam. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, he will. And if he doesn't, then I will.
Sorry, it kind of glitched off then a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just said there that if Shreddy doesn't, then I'll get the revenge that we need by winning the Rumble first and foremost, and then if Rampage Brown wants to go, then bring it on.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Alex, it's been an absolute blast, mate. Oh, you've enjoyed yourself.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. So one thing I always let my guests do is do the outro, so you can say anything you want, and I will roll the outro. Take it away.
Okay. So this has been the magic of wrestling. I have been the class apart Alexander Henry. Roll the outro.